Hello, everyone, and welcome back to English Boost, the podcast for intermediate English learners who want to improve listening, pick up natural vocabulary, and feel more confident with real-life English. I'm your host, Lana. Today's episode is a little different. It's going to be thrilling, a bit scary, and full of surprising facts. We're talking about one of the most common fears in the world. What really happens when an elevator falls? You've probably seen it in movies. The cable snaps. The elevator plunges, people scream. But is that how it works in real life? Can you actually survive a free-falling elevator? What should you do if it ever happens to you? Buckle up, or rather, press the emergency button in your mind, because this is going to be a long ride. We'll explore the science, the myths, real stories from survivors, safety systems, and even some psychology behind elevator fears. Let's begin. Main content. Part 1, the common fear. Elevators, or lifts as they're called in some countries, are part of daily life for millions of people. We step into them without thinking twice. But deep down, many of us feel a tiny moment of nervousness when the doors close. Why? Psychologists say elevator phobia is quite common. It combines fear of heights, fear of enclosed spaces, and fear of losing control. Some people avoid tall buildings altogether just to skip the elevator ride. But here's the good news right away. Falling elevators are extremely rare. In fact, elevators are one of the safest forms of transportation in the world. Safer than cars, stairs, or even escalators. Every year, billions of elevator trips happen safely. Serious accidents are almost unheard of thanks to multiple safety systems. Part 2, how elevators actually work. To understand why falling is so unlikely, let's look at how elevators are designed. Most modern elevators use strong steel cables, usually several of them, attached to a pulley system at the top. A powerful motor pulls the cables to move the elevator up or down. There's also a counterweight that balances the cabin, so the motor doesn't have to work too hard. But the real heroes are the safety brakes. In 1854, a man named Elisha Otis invented the first safety brake. He demonstrated it dramatically at a World Fair by cutting the cable while standing inside the elevator, and it stopped instantly. That invention changed everything. Today, every elevator has several independent braking systems. If the cables break or the elevator goes too fast, heavy metal brakes called governors grip the rails and stop the cabin within seconds. Part 3, the Hollywood myth, free fall. Movies love to show elevators in free fall. Cables snap, lights flicker, the cabin drops like a stone, and everyone floats for a moment before the crash. In reality, true free fall almost never happens, even if all cables broke, which is nearly impossible because there are many redundant ones. The safety brakes would kick in immediately. There has never been a recorded case of a modern, properly maintained elevator falling all the way to the bottom in free fall. The speed is limited, and brakes engage long before it becomes dangerous. Part 4: Real-life stories. Still, accidents do happen, usually because of poor maintenance or human error. Let's look at a few real cases. In 1945, during World War II, an airplane crashed into the Empire State Building in New York. One elevator cable was cut by falling debris. The elevator plunged from the 75th floor. The passenger inside, Betty Lou Oliver, survived a fall of over 75 stories thanks to the safety systems, compressed air at the bottom, and broken cables that cushioned the impact. She holds the Guinness World Record for the longest survived elevator fall. Another case happened in 2009 in Spain. A construction elevator fell several floors because of overloading. Most workers survived with injuries because the fall was slowed by emergency brakes. And in 2011, during an earthquake in Japan, many elevators automatically stopped and opened doors safely due to earthquake sensors. These stories show that even in extreme situations, people usually survive. Part 5: What should you do if the elevator starts falling? Even though it's very unlikely, it's good to know the best advice. Old myth: jump right before it hits the ground. This is impossible. You can't time it perfectly, and you'd still hit with huge force. Better advice from experts: lie flat on the floor. Spread your body to distribute the impact over a larger area. 2. Protect your head and neck with your arms. 3. Bend your knees slightly to absorb shock. 4. Don't try to hold on to the walls or rails. You might break bones. Also, if the elevator stops suddenly between floors, stay calm. Press the alarm button and call for help using the intercom. Never try to force the doors open or climb out. That's when most injuries happen. Part 6: Why elevators feel scary. Even when they're safe, our brain plays tricks on us. When the elevator starts moving, we feel a slight drop in our stomach, the same feeling as on a roller coaster. That triggers fear. Also, we can't see the cables or brakes, so we imagine the worst. Fun fact: in some countries, building codes skip the 13th floor because of superstition, and many elevators don't have a button for floor. Foreign parts of Asia, because the number sounds like death in some languages. Part 7: Modern safety features. Today's elevators are smarter than ever. Multiple redundant cables, at least 3/8, each strong enough to hold the full load alone. Overspeed governors that trigger brakes if speed exceeds 15% above normal. Buffer springs or hydraulic pistons at the bottom to cushion any impact. Regular mandatory inspections. In most countries, every few months, sensors that detect earthquakes, fire, or power loss and stop safely. Some new elevators even have biometric entry or touchless buttons. especially after the pandemic. Part 8. Overcoming elevator anxiety. If elevators make you nervous, here are practical tips. Breathe slowly. Inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 4, exhale for 4. Remind yourself of the statistics. You're safer in an elevator than walking downstairs. Listen to music or a podcast, like this one, through headphones. Gradually expose yourself. Start with short rides, then longer ones. Many people overcome this fear completely with practice. Outro. And that brings us to the end of this extra long episode on the truth behind falling elevators. I hope you learned something new, felt a little less scared, and picked up lots of useful English along the way. Remember, elevators are designed with safety in mind. The next time you step into one, you can feel confident, not terrified. Thank you for spending this time with English Boost. If you enjoyed this deep dive, share it with a friend who's afraid of elevators. See you in the next episode, and until then, keep practicing your English every day. New vocabulary from this episode. Here are the most important new or useful words and phrases from today's podcast, explained with example sentences. 1. Plunge verb, to fall suddenly and quickly from a high place. Example, the elevator seemed to plunge, but it stopped safely. 2. Snap verb, to break suddenly with a sharp sound. Example, in movies, the cable always snaps dramatically. 3. Redundant adjective, more than needed as a backup for safety. Example, elevators have redundant cables, so one failure isn't dangerous. 4. Engage verb, to activate or start working, for brakes, etc. Example, the safety brakes engage automatically if speed is too high. F. Cushion verb, to soften the force of an impact. Example, the air at the bottom helped cushion the fall. 6. Debris noun, scattered pieces of something broken. Example, falling debris from the crash damaged the elevator. 7. Kick in phrasal verb, to start working suddenly. Example, the emergency system kicked in and saved lives. 8. Distribute verb, to spread something over an area. Example, lie flat to distribute the force across your body. 9. Absorb verb, to take in or reduce the effect of shock. Example, bent knees help absorb the impact. 10. Trigger verb, to cause something to start. Example, too much speed triggers the safety brakes. 11. Overcome verb, to successfully deal with a problem or fear. Example, she overcame her fear of elevators with practice. 12. Mandatory adjective, required by law or rule. Example, regular inspections are mandatory for all elevators. 13. Biometric adjective, using body features, fingerprint, face for identification. Example, Some new elevators use biometric entry for security. 14. Deep dive. Noun phrase. A thorough and detailed exploration of a topic. Example, this episode was a deep dive into elevator safety. 15. Unheard of expression. Extremely rare or never happens. Example, true free-falling elevators are practically unheard of. Take your time to review these words. Try making your own sentences or telling a friend about today's topic using them. The more you use them, the more natural they'll feel. Happy learning, and see you next time.